lot of lies that are being put out there, narratives that I would say are half-truths or just misrepresentations entirely.
What happens when a private phone call between two of the most powerful women in conservative media becomes a public weapon? A conversation meant to be secret, meant to be a warning, instead becomes the catalyst that burns an entire political empire to the ground. Candace Owens just revealed exactly what Charlie Kirk's wife Erica said to her behind closed doors. And it explains everything. This wasn't just a friendly disagreement, it was an ultimatum. To understand how deep this betrayal cuts, you have to remember how things used to be. For years, Candace Owens and Turning Point USA's Charlie Kirk were the king and queen of the young conservative movement. It was a perfect partnership. He had the platform. She had the unapologetic, razor-sharp voice that could cut through anything. They were a unified front.
I watched my friend get shot in the neck. Yeah, that's what happened. I just want to say that he was publicly executed again before the world. The question is why, right?
You saw them on stage together at TPUSA events, a sea of thousands of young faces hanging on their every word. They promoted each other, defended each other, and together they built a brand of conservatism that felt fresh, aggressive, and unstoppable. They weren't just colleagues. They were the architects of a movement, and it looked like nothing could ever get between them. Their alliance seemed unshakable, indestructible even. But one global conflict, thousands of miles away, would expose a crack in their foundations so deep, it would swallow the entire relationship whole. And it all started with 4 simple words. When the conflict between Israel and Hamas exploded on October 7th, the American conservative movement snapped to attention, almost uniformly in support of Israel. But Candace Owens? She took a different path. She started asking questions about U.S. funding, questions about foreign entanglements, questions that put her in direct opposition to powerful figures in her own camp, including her boss at the time, Ben Shapiro. The tension simmered for weeks. Then, it boiled over. Online, Candace began using the phrase, "Christ is King." To her and to many of her supporters, it was a simple declaration of faith. But to her critics, in the context of her commentary on Israel, they claimed it was a dog whistle, an anti-Semitic shot across the bow. The accusation was thrown, and it stuck.
And as we are all searching for answers, the ones that are being supplied to us are not making a lot of sense.
Suddenly, this wasn't just a policy disagreement anymore. In her circles, questioning unconditional support for Israel was seen as a spiritual and ideological betrayal. The online arguments were brutal, but they were still just digital noise. But then her phone rang. And the person on the other end wasn't a random troll or a political pundit. It was the wife of her closest ally. This is the moment everything changed. The moment the war went from public to deeply personal. Candace Owens alleges that Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, called her directly. Not to debate policy, not to find common ground, but to deliver a message. According to Candace, the conversation was immediately confrontational. She claims Erica told her point blank that if she didn't support Israel, she simply wasn't a Christian. Let that sink in. The wife of the biggest evangelical youth organizer in the country was allegedly questioning Candace's faith over a foreign policy issue. But it didn't stop there. Here's where it gets crazy. Candace says the conversation then turned to money. She alleges Erica brought up how much funding the conservative movement gets from Jewish donors and implied that Candace's stance was putting all of that at risk. The message was clear: fall in line or you will be a liability. Think about that for a second. This wasn't calling a friend with concerns. According to Candace, this was a threat, a warning that she was flying too close to the sun, that she was messing with powers and money flows she didn't understand, and that her faith itself was on the line. Candace ended the call stunned. For weeks, she said nothing about it publicly. She sat on this story, this private, explosive confrontation. So what finally pushed her to go public and detonate it? Her old friend, Charlie Kirk. Candace kept the call private, likely hoping the issue might blow over. But it didn't. In fact, Charlie Kirk himself turned up the heat. On his own show, without naming names, he started making comments that felt familiar. He talked about the absolute necessity of supporting Israel, about how there was no room for debate on the issue. He seemed to echo the very sentiments his wife had expressed on that private call. For Candace, that was one thing for it to come from his wife in a private call. It's another thing entirely for her closest ally to go on his massive public platform and seemingly validate the attacks against her. She saw it as a subtweet of the highest order. He was picking a side, and it wasn't hers. That was the point of no return. She realized the alliance was already dead. The warning from Erica wasn't a one-off comment. It was the official position of the Kirk empire. So she went on her own show and laid it all bare. She told the world what Erica Kirk allegedly said to her. The floodgates opened. The conflict was now irreversible, forcing everyone in their orbit to pick a side. Because this fight was never just about Candace, Charlie, or Erica. It was about a much bigger war brewing under the surface of the entire conservative movement. In the end, that phone call wasn't just a conversation. It was a line being drawn in the sand, separating two warring factions of the political right. On one side, the traditional, staunchly pro-Israel Christian Zionists, who see support for the nation as a biblical and political mandate. On the other, the rising America First nationalists, who are questioning every dollar sent overseas. This feud, this ugly, personal, public implosion, simply gave that invisible war a face. It's not about friendship anymore. It's a battle for the soul of modern conservatism. Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens were once the movement's power couple. Now, they are its rival generals. With the alliance dead and the battle lines clear, the question is no longer who is right or wrong on a single phone call. It's about which vision for the right wing will win, and who will be left standing when a movement finally chooses its king.